Hey everyone, welcome to My Wife the Dietitian, a weekly podcast about lifestyle and healthy eating. I'm Rob, and together with my wife Sandra, we invite you to join us on this informative yet entertaining journey through the complex world of healthy eating.
We'll cover everything but the kitchen sink. Each week we'll discuss topics ranging from how to protect yourself from developing cancer, spicy foods to rev up the libido, to caring for your palliative grandfather with Alzheimer's.
We'll also delve into more complex issues like, what the heck is oat milk? Why doesn't my butt fit into these jeans? And every guy's favorite question, will eating spinach really make it bigger? Join us each week as we strive to educate, enlighten, and entertain you. Today on My Wife the Dietitian, we're talking all about fats and oils.
You know, it's true, like convenience kills. The more processed our foods are and the more, we go, gotta just go through the drive-thru, grab some fries or onion rings. That is really, those fats in there are just so bad for us, and it's just pro-inflammatory. And we talked about the anti-inflammatory diet in a previous episode, and the inflammation can affect every body system. So we got to take more care in what we're eating, what we're putting into our body, and just be more mindful about the fats and oils. Episode 23, Fats, Grease, and Oil. Quality over quantity. Lubricate the body and skin from within.
Oh, that sounds like a fun title.
Yeah, well, when you think about fats and oils, it's like they're greasy, slippery. What do you think?
I don't really think about them.
Okay. Well, they sit on top of the water. They're not soluble, so they don't like blend in with the water. They're like fats and oils and grease are different, like they act differently in our body, and it affects our health because of that.
Okay. See, I've never really considered any of this stuff until we started researching for this episode. And that's all I've heard about this week.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we're going to be talking about what the difference, like different plant fats and animal fats, why we need to look at quality over quantity, some of the practical uses for different fats in our diet, and how we need to kind of change the ratio of good health fats to fats that are not good.
Okay. I know, based on what I've heard you say this week, that everything I've been doing up until now has been wrong. So it'll be
That's not true.
Well, it hasn't been completely right. So I learned a lot already. So I'm sure there's lots of people out there who are in the same boat and will be like, no way. Wow. Okay. Crazy. So keep listening, because this will be an informative episode for all you oil users out there.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. Carry on then. We're waiting for you. You're the one with the information. The spotlight is on you now, Sandra.
Hey, you're funny. Okay. Well,
okay, go.
Okay. So when we talk about animal fats, what do you think of?
Greasy burgers, saturated fat.
Is
that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
So basically with why they're called saturated versus unsaturated is the term refers to the chemical structure of the molecules and the amount of hydrogen bonds on the carbon chain. So it's kind of, chemistry, organic chemistry.
Kinda.
Yeah. Saturated fats generally come from animal sources and are solid at room temperature. And we know that they have been found to increase risk of heart disease because they increase cholesterol levels.
And is it best to get it from adding it or from the naturally occurring in the food? Like, do you want to be adding saturated fat to your food?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Actually, we don't need saturated fat. The only fat we need are essential fatty acids.
Oh, okay.
And they're the polyunsaturated fats, and they're the omega-3 and omega-6, and they're essential. So we cannot make them. Our body can't make them. So we need to have them in our diet.
Okay. So no saturated fats then.
Well, we have saturated fats in our diet. Actually, the top sources of saturated fat in the North American diet are cheese.
Oh, dang.
And beef, butter, milk, lunch meats like sausage and hot dogs and, bologna and other lunch meats and overly processed meats, and ice cream.
Right. Yeah, I forgot about that stuff. But I guess that makes sense. Dairy
Yeah. And
has fat.
so there was like a big low fat trend, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago where, you can't eat any fat, or fats are, bad for heart disease and just bad for us. And we do need the essential fatty acids, like I said, and fats carry around the fat soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, and K. And remember how I said how it's greasy and it's like different than water soluble vitamins, because you think of fat, it just sits on top of the water. So when we eat some fat in our meals, that helps our body absorb those vitamins I just mentioned, plus some phytochemicals are fat soluble too.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So that helps the body get those.
So there is a purpose to having oil in our diet.
Yeah, absolutely.
I see. Okay, we do need it. It's just we got to be careful which oil we're using.
Yeah. Okay. So in general, we need to reduce the amount of saturated fats. We should avoid trans fats if we can. They've become they're not allowed to use them anymore, but on the label, you can still have a little tiny bit of trans fat in the food, but it's labeled as 0.
Oh, I see. Okay. So as far as cooking oils then, what's I always thought olive oil was like the go-to, but
yeah, olive oil is good. It's a monounsaturated fat, so it's omega-9, and we don't actually, our body can make omega-9. We don't need to have that in our diet, but it has been shown to help with our cholesterol levels. So it helps with the lousy cholesterol, LDL,
right,
and the triglycerides, which are not a good one either. And then the happy or the healthy cholesterol, HDLs, it has been shown to increase the HDLs. And remember, we've talked in the Mind Diet about with the Mediterranean lifestyle, and olive oil as part of that. Mm-hmm. And the thing with olive oil, and we're going to get into the processing of oils, but generally speaking, most olive oils are the extra virgin olive oil is what you want, and it's cold pressed. So it's not heat treated to produce it, to manufacture it.
Because the heat is bad for it.
Yes.
Is that why?
Yeah, absolutely. So polyunsaturated fats and the monounsaturated fats can break down with heat and air, like oxygen, and light. So they're sensitive to those things.
Okay. So that probably dictates where you would store it too. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you should store it in the fridge. Actually, with olive oil, there's such a huge demand in the world now for more olive oil, and they can't keep up the production with the olives. So they're actually they've added other oils to the olive oil.
Oh, they're like cutting it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like with canola or soy oil. So then that affects the way to tell if your olive oil is pure olive oil is if you put it in the fridge, it should start to get a little bit solid or have flecks of solid in it. And then you'll know that it's pure olive oil.
Is that why ours is in the fridge today?
Yeah, I want to try it out.
Yeah, I thought so.
Oh, and you should make sure that your olive oil is in glass, not plastic.
Okay.
Because the plastic does degrade, and oil and plastic together is not a good combination. So yeah, definitely any oil that you buy should always be in glass.
And did you say we should be storing it in the fridge anyway?
Yes.
Okay. Or in a cool, dark place?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Cool, dark. Yeah, because the 3 elements that destroy the oils are heat and
air,
light
and air
and oxygen. That's right. And you know what's the most sensitive oil, and one of the healthiest oil, and it's like the most economical thing to include? Flax seeds.
Really?
Yeah. But, okay, so Mother Nature has made flaxseed, the seed, the hull or the shell, really, really tough and hard to break through.
Right.
You can't even break it with your teeth. It's so hard because it's protecting those really sensitive fats inside the flaxseed. So the best way with flax seeds is to buy the whole flaxseed and grind what you need for that day.
But how do you get the oil out of it then?
When you grind it, it's in the seed.
But if I wanted to have oil for
flaxseed oil?
Yeah. I'm not going to get it from grinding it.
No, that's
I'd
a
have
different, that would be like you'd buy flaxseed oil that is organic because you don't want to have pesticides in that.
No pesticides.
That's right. And then it should be in a dark glass
bottle.
That's right. And with the oil, you don't get the fiber. So grinding your flaxseed is a good idea because then you're going to get a bit of the fiber and the lignans, which they're finding that lignans can be very powerful, actually. They have an anti-estrogen activity and can be helpful for possibly preventing breast cancer. They also have blood sugar control properties, so they can help with blood sugar control. And they've done studies with people with blood pressure issues, and the ground flaxseed, 2 tablespoons a day, can actually help with blood pressure more than some blood pressure medications.
Really?
Yeah. So it's the ground flaxseed. Grind it yourself. I do not recommend going to the store and buying like those big,
bags or whatever of ground flaxseed.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you don't know how long they've been on the shelf. You don't know if they're going to be rancid or okay. Because as I said, flaxseed is very sensitive. The seed of that flax is really sensitive.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. So let's talk about cooking oils. There's so many different things that you can cook with. And I'm sure that's something that people would be interested to know, like butter, margarine, oil, coconut oil. Like there's so many different oils. So let's talk about what's good, what's bad.
Yeah, good.
What the difference is maybe.
Yeah, and it's actually really interesting. We should be baking and broiling and poaching instead of frying and charbroiling.
And why is that?
Because then you're not using fat to cook your food as much. And part of the reason is, so a lot of the oils that you buy are RBD. That's what they are. They have been RBD.
A really big deal.
Refined. So refined, they're bleached and deodorized. So when they refine them, that means they're losing nutrients, like the essential fatty acids, the antioxidants, and vitamins. And then they're bleached, and then they're deodorized so that they have a consistent smell and flavor. And with that process, it is actually destroying the oil.
Because it's being refined and it's removing the goodness out of it.
And yeah, you heat oil and you're oxidating it. So it's actually not good because...
You mean you heat it during the refining process? It gets heated?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So some of those oils are no good to cook with to begin with, and other oils, the act of cooking heats it, which...
isn't great either. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess in the Mediterranean, in the old country, how they used to cook the food was they would cook it in water and then drain off the water and then add the olive oil after.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As I always wondered, the whole Mediterranean diet is so focused on olive oil.
Yeah.
I just wondered how that played in, but that makes sense. If they're cooking it in water, you said, or just like steaming it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Cooking it.
We got to try that. Because when I cook, the first thing I do is throw some oil in the pan. Yeah. And I don't really know. I mean, I don't even know why I'm doing it. It's just because it's one of those things. It's like, I don't know. You put up an umbrella when it's raining. It's just one of those things you do, right?
Yeah. There's actually, I think I mentioned this name, Udo Erasmus. He's a UBC scientist, and there's a few quotes here.
And he's invented an oil, or he's like an oil guy, right?
Yeah. Well,
he's got a pretty cool story, and you can look it up. But he's created like his own brand of oil and's done all this research on different oils.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of his quotes is, frying with fat is the single worst thing humans invented, because more health problems come from damaged oils than any other part of nutrition. And it's worse than sugar or animal products because it really increases the inflammation in our cells and affects every body system.
Crazy, eh?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And oils break down and cause havoc in the arteries. So you fry oil and you fry your health, or you fry food and you fry your health. And one of his books is called Your Body Needs an Oil Change.
That's a great title.
I like that.
Yeah.
And Janet Brill, who's a PhD registered dietitian, is, quote, the claim that the oil is unrefined does not automatically make it healthful, because unrefined oils lose quality as temperature rises. So refined and unrefined oils. The refined oils are the ones that I mentioned, RBD, refined, bleached, and deodorized. So those are probably not a great idea to use because they're already, the manufacturing and processing, the oil's broken down when you buy it. Like when you actually take it off the shelf and bring it home, it's already degraded because of the processing it went through.
Right.
And some of those, if they are made with seeds that have been sprayed with pesticides, or if they have GMO, then
they're no good either.
Well, they're not healthful. Health is not at the forefront of that processing.
Right.
So cold pressing is better for health. It retains the antioxidants and plant sterols.
Right. Okay.
And the cold press, like you probably have seen, like with olive oil, extra virgin olive oil is cold pressed.
Right.
Yeah. So that's an example of a cold pressed oil. So it's not RBD. It's not refined and bleached and deodorized.
Okay. Good information.
And another quote Udo Erasmus says is, convenience kills, and bad oils are killing us and good oils can save us. So meaning that a lot of our food intake, like if we eat fast food and you're getting fries or anything that's been in the deep fryer, like that's the worst thing, is the deep fried oil, because it's totally broken down and then we ingest it and it affects our chemistry. It affects our arteries. It affects our body cells, and that you do that over time and you get more and more unhealthy and more illness and more inflammation. And then eventually, you'll either have heart disease, diabetes, dementia, all those issues with inflammation, and it's just not healthy.
Exactly. And if you've ever worked in a fast food restaurant, been in the kitchen and see where the oil comes from, it's like this 5-gallon bucket, like a commercial paint bucket almost, and they're dumping it in, and it's like, okay, that stuff's just generic oil. There's nothing good about it.
Yeah, and we wonder why
quality.
The health problems are increasing, and like the diabetes is going through the roof and heart disease, and it's like, look at our diet. Like if we're eating these things all the time, then that's our fuel for our body. That's the nutrition we're giving our body.
Exactly.
And frying with fat is the single worst thing humans invented. There's more health problems that come from damaged oils than any other part of nutrition. So
yeah, wow, that's totally news to me. That's something I'm definitely going to change, because like I said before, I always thought that it was okay as long as you use the right kind of oil.
Well, I think we should be cooking in water and broth. That's kind of the best way to, start a meal, is cooking with broth or water, and then use the oil after, because we do need those. Remember I said the polyunsaturated fats. So the essential fatty acids, we need the omega-3 and 6. If we don't have those, we become deficient in those, and you get sick. So if you don't have enough of the omega-3 and the 6 in your diet, and a lot of the saturated fats or the deep fried fats, which are a lot of times degraded, then it's this imbalance. That's why I talk about quality over quantity and balancing out the ratio.
Right. Okay.
And the thing also is most North Americans have way too much of the omega-6 versus the omega-3. So the omega-6 is in all of those cooking oils that are liquid at room temperature, that are widespread in our diet. So the soybean oil, the canola oil, the corn oil, and all the vegetable oils that you buy.
Right.
So a lot of our diet has those omega-6s. So we've got lots of those. It's like the ratio is like 20-1, and it should be about 4-1. So we really need to increase the omega-3s and decrease the omega-6. And to increase the omega-3, so the best sources of omega-3, there's the plant source. I mentioned the flaxseed. So flaxseed oil is omega-3, and it's the alpha-linoleic acid, and your body converts that into the important DHA and EPA, which is those essential fatty acids that we really need for brain health and eye health.
Right. Okay. I think we talked about those before.
Okay. Yeah. Good. And they're essential for fetal development for pregnant moms, and so the baby develops the brain and the eyes and other organs.
Right. Good stuff.
Yeah. And a lot of us do not get enough omega-3s in our day. The other way to get omega-3s, do you remember?
No, not flaxseed. Seaweed. Fish.
Yes.
We're playing charades again.
Fish, exactly.
Surfing in the waves.
So that's the animal-based omega-3. So vegetarians, if, there's a lot of vegetarians out there and they might not eat fish and might not take a fish supplement, so they might be lacking in omega-3. So if you don't like, or if you don't eat fish, then increase your amount of flax seeds. So 2 tablespoons to 4 tablespoons a day, divided through the day, is a good way to get those important ALA, the alpha-linoleic acid, that converts to the DHA. And a good way to convert it is eat something with turmeric. Actually helps that conversion process to get those important omega-3 out of the flaxseed into the DHA.
So what if I want to add flaxseed to my diet? What's you just shake it on like it's a condiment or something, or add it like you want to grind it first, you said?
You got it.
And then is there a flavor to it, or you just kind of...
It actually has a little bit of a fishy flavor. It's got the same long chain fatty acids as fish, as the omega-3 in the fish oil or fish fats, basically.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and it actually smells and tastes a little bit fishy, but it's really good you can put it into your cereal in the morning. You can... It's fine. You do it all the time.
Fish flakes.
No, it's not. It's not that pronounced of a flavor. It's actually not too fishy. It's just if you took the oil, like if you took a spoonful of flaxseed oil, you'd notice there's a little bit of a fishy flavor.
I see. Okay.
But the flax seeds ground is a good way to do it, because then you're getting the fiber, as I mentioned, and you can put that into salads or into...
Just like how you'd add chia.
Yeah,
or hemp
exactly.
Seeds. Okay,
exactly.
So you're just adding.
Yeah, and those two, chia and hemp, they also have some omega-3. They just don't have as much as the flaxseed. And flaxseed is one of the original health foods. They used them in the Roman Empire. It's one of the original medications that Hippocrates used.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Dr. Andrew Weil.
Yeah.
His quote is, "If we can only make a single dietary change, add flax seeds to our diet."
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Gandhi even said, "Wherever flaxseed become a regular food item among the people, there will be better health."
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And so if you have dry skin...
I have dry skin. What should I do about that? Can I rub flaxseed oil on? Flaxseed massage?
Lubricate the body and skin from within. So you should make sure that you're taking more of these good omega-3 fats and flaxseed.
Oh, I see. So it will help with my skin.
Yeah, it will, because
not by rubbing it on, but by ingesting it, and it helps.
Yeah, it's a symptom. It's kind of showing that, you probably are not getting enough in your diet.
Oh wow, that's
because
your body's telling you.
It's the last place. It's the skin is kind of low priority in our whole body.
Oh, I see.
So it's the last. Our other organs are probably getting what it needs, but our skin isn't. So if you have more of the omega-3, the essential fatty acids in our diet, then that will help with keeping your skin nice and supple and
supple.
Yeah, and not dry.
Nice. What about supplements? There's tons of omega-3 fish oils, all sorts of different supplements. Is that something we need to be taking?
That's a good question. I mean, there is an issue with the environmental impact of the overfishing and, getting enough fish oils for the population. Flaxseed oil is a good one to use, or krill oil.
Krill oil.
Yeah.
That's what whales eat, isn't it?
Yeah, it is actually. I guess the way they're harvesting is a bit more sustainable, and when they put that into a supplement, it's really a good omega-3.
That's good to know. I haven't really heard of that. I mean, we've been using it lately, but before it arrived in our cupboard, I'd never even heard of krill oil.
Yeah, it's got those omega-3s, and we should store it in the fridge.
Okay. We're going to need a bigger fridge.
That's right. Well, the same thing, actually, you should keep in your fridge flaxseed, like if it's ground, any fish oil, if you take a fish oil supplement, and nuts, because they all have fats that will break down.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we need to remember that if that food has fat, then it's going to degrade. And you know how we get good fats, right? Like the whole foods. So nuts and seeds, like the flax seeds that I mentioned, and sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds and sesame seeds. They all are a good way to get your good fats because it's a whole food, but you want to make sure that they aren't rancid. So, storing them well.
Right. Okay. That's good to know. And what about avocado oil and some of the other more trendy, like coconut oil? Like there's some that are becoming a bit more trendy with some of the diets that are around these days. Yeah.
Okay. So avocado oil is high in monounsaturated fats. So it's similar to the olive oil. And actually walnuts are high in the monounsaturated fats too. With the avocado oil, it's a specialty item. It is usually unrefined. So similar to the olive oil, the unrefined, so it's going to be probably a little bit more costly, but also it's probably better to just eat the avocado than to actually use the oil.
Okay. You're getting more benefit from the actual avocado.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then butter versus margarine, is that, or did you want to talk about coconut oil first?
Oh, right. The coconut oil is a saturated fat, and so is butter. And so with coconut oil as that solid fat, it actually, when you're cooking with it, it's a little bit more stable than a plant fat that can break down more quickly.
Right.
It's still a saturated fat. So I would say with all of those, if you're going to use any of those spreads, just to keep it to a minimum. And people that I talk to that have cholesterol issues, like high lousy cholesterol, LDL, or total cholesterol, a good rule of thumb is about 6 teaspoons of added fat through the day. So 2 teaspoons per meal, just so that you have a little bit of a way to tell like how much fat you're getting in your meal.
And that's added fat.
Yes.
Not the fat that's already in the food.
Exactly.
So that's adding dressing or putting spread on your bread or toast.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's 6 teaspoons?
Yeah.
Per day?
Two per meal.
Okay.
Yeah. And margarine, you don't ever want to buy the brick margarine, because margarine is from a plant fat and it has been hydrogenated. So they've added hydrogen bonds to make it solid at room temperature. And the whole idea was, people don't want to pour an oil on their toast. And so they made it hard so that you can spread it.
Oh, I see.
But the harder it is, the more likely there's trans fats in it. And there are still margarines out there that, like the brick margarines, that are not good. And if you're going to use margarine, a plant sterile one, or like a Baicel, like a soft tub margarine that's non-hydrogenated, I still think that just keeping it to a real minimum of, butter is like a little bit of butter or other fats. So those are the added fats that you add to your food to make it taste good. But if we eat more whole foods like the nuts and seeds and have those flax seeds, we're getting some really beneficial fats in those, and we don't have to add too much added fat.
Right. I think a lot of the added fats come with, I have a piece of toast for breakfast and I don't want it dry, so what do I put on it? Or I have a salad at lunch and I don't want it just like lettuce and stuff in it, so I want to put dressing on it. So it's, I think that's a
good question. Yeah, well, like peanut butter on your toast, maybe, if you like peanut butter.
I love peanut butter.
Or like a nut butter, because then you're getting the beneficial fats from the nuts. And the salad dressing, making your own with oil and vinegar would be a good way. You could use olive oil, or you can use any of those polyunsaturated fats that we mentioned, like the flaxseed oil,
and they're going to be good because you're not heating them, right? It's when you heat them that it becomes a problem.
You got it. Exactly. Yeah. Heating oil is definitely not a good idea. Remember, bake, broil, or poach versus fry or charbroil.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that. I'm curious to see what happens with eggs, like cooking eggs in water.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. But there's a few things I can see that might, because a lot of times you're using oil to kind of lubricate, like so things don't stick to the pan and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that works with.
Well, with the eggs, I usually poach, or that's how I mean, we do have scrambled eggs, but you can definitely scramble them without adding oil.
Yeah, I suppose. We'll find out maybe for lunch today. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about? You were saying baking is probably the better way to go. So less frying, I guess. Is that a good kind of rule?
Yeah, definitely.
Or if you're going to fry, don't do it in oil.
Exactly, like stir fry, or, well, actually, Udo Erasmus, if you look him up, really interesting. He basically said, take your fry pan, hit yourself over the head because it reminds you there's pain, and throw it out and never use it.
That's funny.
And just cook your food in pots, because we don't associate pots with oil.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if when you remove the oil from the cooking, if that's going to change what you start to cook.
Yeah.
Like it'll make you rethink, okay, this isn't healthy, or if I need oil for it, maybe it isn't something that I should be eating in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's we have to think, like, where did this come from? Like, you think of your food and where it originated from and how it's processed to get into the bottle that's in your cupboard.
Yeah, I've never really thought about that before, so this has opened my eyes for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's like, you think of the RBD, refined, bleached, and deodorized, and a lot of the corn oil, the soy oil, the canola, palm oil have been crushed and extracted, bleached, and deodorized, so that you're losing a lot of the important essential fatty acids and the antioxidants and the vitamins out of those seeds. And then it's just the oil that's left, but it's been heated, so it's already been degraded. And if the oil's broken down, it causes havoc in the arteries. And it's true, like, convenience kills. Like, it's the more processed our foods are, and the more we go, gotta just go through the drive-through, grab some fries or onion rings. That is really, those fats in there are just so bad for us, and it's just pro-inflammatory. And we talked about the anti-inflammatory diet in a previous episode, and the inflammation can affect every body system. So we got to take more care in what we're eating, what we're putting into our body, and just be more mindful about the fats and oils.
Yeah, that's really good information. So hopefully people can. You probably have to do a little homework on this one just to understand it a bit more. I know I probably will, so because it's a little bit complex in terms of what works where and what you should do in certain situations, and reading the label a bit more closely for specific oils on it. And
yeah, just remember that oil that's liquid oil breaks down with heat, with oxygen, with light. So if you've had it for a long time, you're storing it for a long time, it might already be degraded, or it might have been degraded in the processing with the RBD, the refined, bleached, and deodorized process of the manufacturing of the oil. And if you don't like fish, eat flaxseed, as you're going to get the important omega-3s. That's right. Yeah, and there's a lot of people becoming vegetarian or moving in that direction, and they might not be including fish. So flaxseed is a good way to get those.
Yeah, good alternative.
Yeah, and if you just eat them like whole flax seeds, you're not going to be able to digest, actually get the oils and the lignans, because your body can't break it down. It'll just be fiber, and it'll go right through you. So it's better to crush that, grind them in the coffee grinder and a Vitamix or something, and just grind what you need and use it fairly soon before it degrades.
Yeah, sounds good. We keep a separate grinder too, so your coffee doesn't taste like flax seeds.
That's right.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think that's good information. Appreciate you sharing that with us today. And are you done?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay. You're looking at me like, oh, I got more to say.
I do always.
I know, right?
I could talk about this all day.
Sounds good. All right. Well, we'll talk more next week. You can save it for then.
Okay, sounds good, Rob.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today on My Wife, the Dietitian. If you like what you heard, don't be shy. Leave us a comment or review, and be sure to share our podcast with your friends. If you'd like to hear more, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media pages for updates, episode trailers, and other odds and ends. For more info and links on what we discussed on today's episode, check the show notes. We'll be back next week with another informative and fun-filled episode.